Chapter 11. Literary Fire. Still frustrated, Thomas heads down to the kitchen for breakfast. Unlike during the week, today his sister is there, enjoying a slice of cake and a glass of juice. Tiana smiles broadly when she sees him. Her curiosity is intense. She needs to know the latest developments in his adventures. Work and college keep the petite girl from following the unfolding events more closely. She's too responsible to set her obligations aside. Deep down, she doesn't feel her brother is truly in danger. Hey, everything good, little bro? It's normal for Tiana to be affectionate at home, but she only speaks this way when she wants something. All good, he replies mid-yawn, his morning sluggishness making him notice his sister's ulterior motives. When you have a free moment, let's talk. I want to know how that situation is going, she whispers so their mum won't hear, though she's not even in the kitchen. The matriarch is out back, taking care of Yoda's food. I don't know. Maybe later. I need to go downtown to buy some things. Tom needs a blank book, something like a travel journal or similar. He has doubts about whether he should try transferring the knowledge without the enchantment. Will it work? And what if he uses a spiral notebook or something that doesn't quite look like a book? Perfect. I'll take you and we can chat along the way, she laughs, as if this is the best idea of the day. Ah, fine, he smiles. It'll probably be better than going alone, not to mention quicker by car. Tom, you're a little different, aren't you? Tiana had noticed this before, but with so much information being dumped on her, she hadn't had time to think about it. Her brother really is different. He is. He's been styling his hair to the other side now, their mum says as she enters the kitchen and sits at the table with them, wanting another slice of the cake she made. There's nothing different, my hair's the same as always. And truly, physically there's nothing new, but the effects of Car's blessing still influence those around him. Stop being silly, just admit you're trying to look cuter now that you're single again. Tiana teases maliciously while messing up his hair. I'm going to get changed. When you're ready, just call me. Going out today? Their mum asks, curious. They don't go out together often. She's giving me a ride downtown. I need a few things for a project. Cool. If you need money, just grab some from the jar. The famous coin jar. Basically a pot where all the loose change scattered around the house ends up. After finishing breakfast and playing a bit with Yoda, Tom heads to Tiana's room to call her. It's past 9. The shops are already buzzing with customers eager to part with their monthly monetary gains. On the way to the stores, he gives his sister a brief rundown of what's happened over the past 3 days. Tiana listens carefully. She used to find the story hard to believe. Now it seems even more complicated. It's not that she doubts Tom, but everything he says is just too fantastical to be true. Soon the car stops on the main avenue, and the two head into a stationery shop that sells some books. While Tom browses the notebooks and journals, looking for something that resembles a real book, his sister questions him again. So every time you sleep, you're going to the same world? Yeah, every day, he replies automatically, not taking his eyes off the notebooks he's flipping through. What if you nap, like in the afternoon? I don't know, I haven't tried yet. He spots a promising item, leather cover, yellowed pages. Looks just like an old book, but the price is way too high. He puts it back on the shelf. Didn't like that one. She picks up the same item her brother just put back and flips through it. I did, but it's too expensive. I'll grab a simpler one I saw. And what do you want this for again? To copy a book? Can't it just be a regular notebook? She asks, curious. If I were writing, sure, anything would do. But since it's magic, who knows if there are restrictions? I haven't learned much yet. That's it then? Her brother seems to have found everything he needs. Yeah, I don't think I need anything else. Go to that bakery next door and get us something sweet. I'll meet you in the car. I'll pay here. Tom nods, hands over his items, and heads off for some goodies as requested. Not that they're actually hungry, but there's always room for pastry. Thomas buys 2 chocolate croissants and sodas. Now they just need to find a quiet place to test the enchantment on the book. Doing anything like that at home isn't a good idea. Their mom might see something and he won't be able to explain. Better to avoid that. So Tiana takes her brother to a nearby vacant lot. Once there, the siblings make sure no one's close enough to hear or clearly see what they're doing. Some people are out walking their dogs, but no one is nearby, so it's safe to proceed. Tiana hands the book to her brother, who places it on the ground. Standing, he points his hands at the book in front of him and begins to imagine all the images stored in his mind flowing like water down his arms onto the blank pages. Nothing happens. Frustrated by the lack of results, Tom starts thinking about what could be wrong. Maybe he skipped a step. At Temulo's house, he first felt the energy flowing. So it's probably better to try that here too. Again, he assumes the initial position, hands pointed at the book. Tiana watches all this preparation, finding it hilarious. She's sure nothing will happen again. Tomás concentrates. He needs to feel the flow of grace running through his body, like a river that springs from his mind, rushes down his arms, and pours over the book, filling it with stored knowledge. This time the impact isn't immediate. The boy can feel the weight of the energy flowing and increasing, like a diver descending too quickly. The pressure starts to crush him to the point of being unbearable. Afraid of losing focus for too long, Tomás again imagines all the knowledge recorded by the enchantment being printed onto the book. This time he does the enchantment with his eyes closed, not wanting to be blinded a second time today. Though, can it still be considered the same day? Doesn't matter, because Tiana starts screaming in panic. Fire! Tom, get back! His sister pushes him back while throwing dirt onto the book that's now engulfed in flames, but to no effect. Don't get close. What do you mean it's on fire? Even buried under dirt, sand and weeds, the book burns violently. You tell me. You're the one who did it. Now that they've moved away, they can finally calm down. The flames don't spread. They're concentrated solely on the book. Still, they're too intense to get close. The blaze shoots nearly 3 feet high, burning with a greenish hue. I guess I still can't do it right, he says, collapsing to the ground disheartened as he watches the fire roar like a flamethrower. You don't say, she replies, taking a deep breath in relief. What now? What do we do with this little hell you've created? She points to the book, the heat starting to bother them. I have no idea. It'll probably burn out eventually. I wonder if marshmallows roasted over magic fire taste the same. Look at that, she says, pointing even more emphatically, still nervous from the scare. There's a ton of stuff piled on top and it's not even getting weaker. I don't think this is going out anytime soon. I have an idea. Tom runs back to the car and grabs the stuff he bought at the bakery. With no real confidence in what he's doing, he opens his soda. Carefully, he approaches the fire to pour the fizzy liquid over it. The flames don't extinguish immediately. However, they shift to a more natural yellow-orange colour, and an irritating smoke spreads. The boy backs away from the fire, which slowly dies out, coughing. The siblings sit and eat their croissants while the flame monster dies of diabetes. The fire goes out, just like Tiana's doubts about Tomás. Everything he'd told her was true. There's no way it could be otherwise, even if it doesn't make sense. The girl looks at her little brother with new admiration. He, who'd never done anything remarkable, might just become someone great. But these grand thoughts are interrupted when she notices his hands and arms, red and injured, as if they'd been burned by what just happened. Tom, your arm. You got hurt. I didn't even notice. The boy also hadn't noticed. He's shocked to see the redness on his limbs. Ugh. This happens when I do this kind of stuff. My body can't handle the magic, he says with a grimace, speaking half-jokingly. You got all hurt, she says, checking to make sure there are no other injuries. Is it always like this? She asks, genuinely worried. Most of the time. I think I'm getting the hang of it, but who knows? He shrugs. And doesn't it hurt? She asks, feeling sorry for him. The injury looks serious, like a bad sunburn, maybe worse. I don't know. Sometimes it hurts a lot in the moment, but less than I think it should. I guess. Hard to say, he pauses. I even think I'm healing kind of fast. We can't go home with you like this. Mum's going to freak out at me. If I run into the house and put on a long-sleeve shirt, it'll be fine. Yeah, because that's the genius idea. Only you would think that'd work. Never mind, I'll text her and say we'll be a while. Maybe in a few hours it'll be better. Could be. So what do you want to do? He asks, curious. He doesn't really know what his sister does when she's out. There's a store I go to. Let's hang out there for a bit. A store? Yeah, you'll get it when we get there. Both get back in the car, Tom feeling down because he couldn't perform the enchantment, and Tiana more upbeat because her little brother proved everything he'd said. It doesn't take long to arrive. The car stops on a side street near where they were earlier. His sister gets out first and leads the way. They pass a few shops, then climb a narrow staircase between two houses until they reach Square Tablet. The store doesn't look like a regular shop. It has several velvet-covered tables, and its walls are lined with shelf after shelf of board games. Near the entrance is the counter, managed by a short black man wearing a fluorescent pink cap. Some people are already at tables playing some kind of card game that Tom can't identify. The man behind the counter smiles as soon as he sees Tiana come in. "Tiana, long time. I missed you," he says, extending his hand to greet her. "Good morning, Paulo. Yeah, college doesn't give me much of a break." "And this guy, your brother?" "Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm Tomás." He shakes Paulo's hand, who notices the boy's hands and eases up on the grip. "Welcome to Square Tablet, our city's biggest and only board game haven. Hope you have fun today and come back again. I didn't hurt you, did I? Your hands look a bit burned." "Thanks. Nah, didn't hurt. It's more of an allergy than anything," he lies, but just a harmless fib. "Good," Paulo laughs in relief. Tomás had no idea his sister went to places like this. He'd always loved games, played video games all his life. But board games? He thought those were just for kids, like Monopoly and Risk. Even though his sister looks the size of a kid, she should have hobbies that fit her age. "We're renting Res Arcana today. Let's play, just us two." "Oh, cool, but just you two? Mind if I play too?" Paulo heads to a shelf and grabs the game she asked for. "Shouldn't you be working?" She pretends to scold him. "My boss gave me a few minutes off. Let's go." The three settle at one of the tables nearest the counter, since Paulo is still technically working. Tiana sets up the game. She's played it a few times before. Several cards are laid out on the table along with some small, colourful components. After a few minutes, Tiana hands her brother a few cards. "So, Tom, I thought this game would be perfect for you." She laughs a bit. "I gave you some cards. 2 of them are mages with special effects. Each of us picks one. You need to look at the other cards in your hand and try to find a synergy with one of the 2 mages I gave you. Got it?" "Got it." Though, not really. He looks at the cards but doesn't get it at all. "How do you win?" she continues. "By scoring 10 points. This here is a point," she says, pointing to an icon on the card. Tiana starts explaining how the game works. It's not complex, but it's Tom's first time playing anything like this. After a quick rundown, Tom thinks they can start. If this kind of game is new to you too, Res Arcana is pretty simple and fun. Just play cards, pay resources to acquire artifacts and monuments that give you more options, and try to get 10 points as fast as you can. The first game starts calmly, with Tom asking for help here and there, clearing up doubts. The game runs a bit longer than usual and ends with Paulo winning, while the younger brothers score. Well, best forgotten, but that's fine. He's still learning. No. Now I get how this works," he says while looking at his cards with the determination of someone who just got wrecked and wants revenge. "Let's see then." Paulo turns his cap backwards. The game just got serious. The boy realizes the cards in his hand can interact in curious ways, something he hadn't noticed before. Certain cards provide resources, which, when used at the right moment, create a little engine, making the game flow more smoothly. Very different from the previous match, where it felt like he couldn't do anything. At first glance, a card might seem to have one function, but through interactions, it gains others. Just like his message enchantment. If he hadn't used it the way he did against the Chantenine, he wouldn't have survived. He's still not an experienced mage, so he needs to use everything he knows as cleverly as possible to overcome future challenges. More confident in himself and in the game, Tom manages to play a dragon onto the table, an annoying card that steals resources from the other players, making the game tougher for Tiana and Paulo. Seriously, you're already pulling that nonsense, she complains as she hands her brother some essences, the game's resource. Paulo hands over his, mock tears in his eyes. If you don't like it, pick another game, he laughs at his sister. The game continues, with Tom managing to chain some actions and respond well to the table's dynamics. Even so, he doesn't win, but he doesn't lose in a humiliating way either. In the end, the siblings stay at the store for almost 4 hours. Tomás never imagined he'd have so much fun with his sister playing board games. Paulo made him laugh several times with his silly faces and over-the-top expressions. And it kind of felt like a video game, but with all the moves done manually. They probably would have stayed longer if not for hunger. Lunch had been a while ago and they'd only eaten snacks. After paying Paulo and saying their goodbyes, they head home. In the car, Tom thanks Tiana for the day. Thanks for taking me there. It was really fun. You're welcome, she smiles. I don't go there as often as I'd like, but it's a good place to make friends. But you never told me about it. You don't talk about what you're playing on your video game either. True. But now that you know anytime you want, and I have time, just let me know. She ruffles his hair, which he protests by flailing his arms to keep her from messing it up. All right, sure, he smiles, removing her hand from his head. The whole time gaming, he'd forgotten about the problems in the other world, the Shantanin chasing him, and the mage in his mind. It had been ages since he spent time with his sister, and only now did he realize how much he missed that. When they got home, both went to the kitchen where 2 plates waited for them. A stew with mashed potatoes. Simple, but very tasty, even if no longer hot. After lunch, Tiana went to her room to study, while Tom stayed in the yard with Yoda at his side. The dog panted heavily. He'd run a few laps around the lawn and couldn't go any farther. Idle, Tom's thoughts drifted to memories of Zara. Despite all the beauty and mystery of that magical world, it was Trat he thought of. The way she walked, the way her hips moved, her expressive eyes and subtle smile. Tomás really wanted to go out with the Zara, but she'd have to wait. He needed to go back to Temulo to learn the rest of the enchantment. But he couldn't shake her from his mind. Were things in that other world like they are here? Maybe it was common for friends to go out like that, or maybe it was some strange cultural norm. Whatever her reasons, he felt excited about the outing, even if he had no idea how to entertain her. Should he bring a gift? The first time he went out with Mandy, he'd brought her a little present. All these thoughts started to bother Tom. Going to another world was supposed to be all fun and adventure, not more studying and social pressure. Not that this was Trat's fault. It's not like he was attracted to the Zara, not in a romantic way. Yet he felt something he didn't understand, something good. Amid this mental chaos, the boy pondered if he could communicate with her through the message enchantment. Maybe it'd be good to have an ally who could answer his questions while he was awake. Despite the earlier fire, he believed it was worth trying. After all, he'd done it a few times already. Before starting, he took a deep breath. The scent of freshly cut grass mowed earlier by his dad calmed him and lined up his thoughts for the enchantment. Ready? Tomás began visualizing Trat in his mind, as if the Zara were standing right in front of him. Visually, she was unmistakable. He could create an almost perfect image of Trat, his acquaintance from another world. Curiously, he saw her with more curves than she actually had. He didn't even notice this particularity, but approved of it. Hopefully, it wouldn't mess up the enchantment. With her sensual image clearly in his mind, Tom projected the line connecting his hands. Instantly, the flow of magical energy started coursing violently down his arm. The worst pain he'd felt so far. Without losing focus, he thought of a simple hi with a clear image of his house. The energy cut off like a blow from Conan the Barbarian. Brutal. Tom fell to the ground, landing on his butt first, then his back on the grass. He was sure it had worked. Yoda came running to lick his face. For the dog, everything's a game. Unfortunately, there'd be no time for him. The pain in Tom's arm was terrible. Looking down, he panicked. There was a lot of blood running down his right arm. Before anyone could see his injuries, Tomás whipped off his shirt, quickly wrapped it around his arm, and dashed to his room. By sheer luck, he made it without anyone noticing. He locked his door and went into the bathroom. Since this madness began, he'd brought a first aid kit from the garage to his room. With his arm underwater, he could see that the wounds were pretty superficial. His whole arm had been cut up like it had gone through a cheese grater, at least twice. With what he had there, Tomás patched up his arm enough to stop the bleeding. Soon he'd be able to cover it with a long sleeve. The real problem would be resisting the urge to scratch it when it started scabbing. After all that chaos, exhaustion hit. It wasn't normal for him to want a nap, but today it sounded good. Plus, he could test if a simple nap would send him to another world. His eyes started to close even before he lay down, and soon enough he was asleep.